What's up, people on the interwebs? Hope you have an amazing day. So I thought today we'll talk about some news of Japan. What's going on in the world of Japan? Now, one big news story recently is that Japan had to send back their only pandas in Japan back to China. So Xiao Xiao and Lili, hopefully I've pronounced them right, they went back to China about 2 days since I filmed this video. They went back on January the 27th, I believe, and currently it's the 29th. So they went back, but it's really interesting because when I first saw this news article, I thought it was a politics move, and it could still be a political move because it's not the first time China has done something where if the relationships between the two countries, as they weaken, China has done this before where they've sent pandas as a gift to kind of show good relationships. They will take the pandas back because America had something similar a couple decades ago where China sent them some pandas to show good bonds between countries, and then America did something to China, and then China took the pandas back. And it looks potentially is happening in the same thing with Japan, where at the moment the relationships between Japan and China are weak. So it looks like China has taken back those pandas. I don't want to say 100% if it's because of the political ties, because some people have said to me apparently the lease was expiring anyway. And apparently the Tokyo Zoo was trying to get the lease renewed, but China said no. So it might be some other reasons, but I think also with how the political ties between both countries are weak at the moment, it wouldn't surprise me if a small percent of the lease not being renewed was because of this. But there's a lot of weaknesses between the both countries at the moment. I think flights is a very good one. You know, there's a lot of flights from China to Japan not going to one another currently. I was a victim of this event with a lot of flights from Japan to China being cancelled, because originally when I was going to go home to the UK, my original flight was going from Japan, China to the UK, and because of the comments the Japanese Prime Minister made, which obviously ticked off China. Obviously the flights between China and Japan have been cancelled and half, and even the Chinese government has sort of put a bit of a don't fly to Japan or don't go to Japan for a holiday to their citizens at the moment, with the relationship between both countries weakening. And because of that, I got kind of caught in the fire of that. So I had to completely change all my flights, where I was sort of 2 weeks before going back to the UK, this happened, and I had to completely change it all. Luckily, I was able to get a fairly reasonable price back to the UK. And the one perk of having to change all my flights around, one, it was actually cheaper, and two, it was a direct flight. So in the long run, it actually worked out better for me. But the 2 weeks before flying home, that was probably one of the biggest stresses, and something I really didn't need to deal with in life right then, to try and get a new flight, especially with the money I paid for it. It took about a month to get my refund back, so I really had to like pull out my savings to get my flight home for the winter period. So yeah, very stressful time, and all because relationships between China and Japan have weakened at the moment. But what's really interesting with these pandas going, and obviously it looked like the zoo tried to recontract, couldn't get them to come back again, or couldn't extend the contract. It's sort of predicting that with not having these pandas in the zoo, because these were the only pandas in all of Japan, and now Japan is pandaless since 1952. So that's really about, yeah, over 50 years since they've had pandas, about 50 years. So it's a long time with no pandas. But the internet is saying it's predicted that because of not having these two pandas, they're going to lose about 20 billion yen in the zoo, which is an insane amount of money to lose, and really showed how important these pandas were to the zoo, because that's quite a huge profit margin just because of two pandas, that people are going to come to the zoo because they want to see a panda. I will also say I saw a few news articles talking about the pandas leaving, and I will say I think there is a lot of Japanese citizens who are quite heartbroken that these pandas are leaving back to China, because some people are really sad, really teary that these pandas are going. I think it's also heartbreaking from the research I've done. These two pandas were actually born in Japan, but they were part of the Chinese breeding program to help get the panda populations back up. So technically they belong to China, and China's gone, no, we're not going to renew the contract. We are going to take them back. So very sad. I'm hoping the relationships between both countries improve and we can hopefully maybe get the same pandas back, or maybe just get some pandas to return back to Japan. But yeah, very sad that we have lost some pandas in Japan. Another interesting event that's currently happening in Japan is in the north section of all of Japan. It seems to be they're having one of their worst snowstorms in history. It seems they're getting record-breaking numbers of the amount of snow that is falling in the northern prefectures, where they've got record of over snowfall has reached between 264 centimeters in Niigata Prefecture and 150 centimeters in Aomori City. So they're getting some really high snowfall this year. Hopefully they'll be alright. I mean, the nice thing with those prefectures is they are pretty snow proof. You know, they are used to having snow every year and really, really thick snow for it. So hopefully they'll be fine. But if you're up there or you're planning on going there, you know, make sure you keep warm, stay hydrated, make sure you don't go any places that a car can't handle the snow, or at least if you're going to take a car, make sure the car is snow proofed. But yeah, insane amounts of snow that is currently happening in the north of the prefectures. I will say for those prefectures, they are really beautiful. I have been to Hokkaido and Aomori. Absolutely beautiful. I would like one time to do it in winter and see what the snowfall is like. When I went, it was during summer. And to be honest, if you ever come to Japan in the summer, go to the northern prefectures, because if you just want to try and escape the heat, it is definitely one of the better prefectures to be for the summer. It is still hot and the humidity is still there, but you can easily knock about 10 degrees off just by going to the northern prefectures of Japan. Like when I went, it was still hot, but compared to like what the main center of Japan can be, like the Kansai Shikoku region, way much better. It was actually a nice bearable temperature. You can actually do some things. So definitely really recommend the northern part of Japan. It is absolutely beautiful. And then my last story for today is a bit of inflation going on in Japan. Now, one thing that shocked me with coming back, and I went to one of the local convenies, I think, which one was it? Maybe it was Family Mart, maybe it was Lawson. It was definitely one of those two. I can't remember which one of them. But I went in there for a onigiri, and what shocked me was the onigiri was 198 yen. So this onigiri was almost 200 yen, which is absurd. I have not heard of an onigiri ever being nearly 200 yen. Really wild. Like when a couple years back, I made a video, I'll probably put in the link somewhere around here. I went to all these convenies and I rated how much, or I rated like which onigiri I like the best for the tuna ones, and I think at most I must have paid about, I want to say 170 yen at most. So, and that was kind of my first year being here, which I'm currently in my third year of living in Japan. So it's nearly gone up 30 yen for a like inflation increase. So just showing you how in Japan that inflation is creeping up. And I don't know, I mean, I did buy a 200 yen onigiri because I was hungry, but I definitely think that's going to start a lot more people going to the convenies, a lot more for a quick meal out. I think more people start going to the supermarkets because the food is cheaper in general. So it's starting to have a little bit of that kind of side effect of a part of like the beauty of the convenies, where it was quick, cheap, convenient food. Where now that conveniency is going. It's it's not quite as cheap, and I've definitely noticed that because every time if I go to the convenience for like a quick snack or something, I'm easily always paying over 1,000 yen. So if I want to make sure I have like a cheaper lunch or even a dinner sometimes, I sort of just go to the supermarket now because it is a little bit cheaper. But yeah, just small signs of that inflation is actually creeping up in Japan. You know, if you ever see a video where they're like, these onigiris haven't changed since blah blah blah, that's either an old or outdated video, because prices aren't staying the same anymore in Japan. You know, that inflation is creeping up. So I've got no problem with inflation going up, but the hardest thing with inflation is wages don't go up with it. So everyone feels the price. Or sometimes you have the opposite, where wages do go up a little bit, but because the inflation also went up, you don't really see that improvement in money being saved or anything. But I think we can all agree at the moment, every kind of big country at the moment, the economy is just a mess in general. No country really seems to have the answer on how to get the economy better. And people my age, who's kind of like late 20s, early 30s, trying to just start out in life and try and live a good life, you know, it just seems a bit of an impossible dream to try and just do bare, simple adulthood events. But those are just my 3 quick stories of Japan that I've just found out recently, or just had a quick search, or just caught my eye recently with just kind of flicking through the news pages. If there's anything you want me to discuss or mention about living in Japan or anything else, or if you like these kind of videos where I'm just kind of talking about local events that are happening in Japan, in current time, you know, let me know in the comments down below. Feedback is always good, and if you enjoy these videos, let me know, and I will see you next time. Bye!